Hello, everyone out there in quarantine land. This is Shane Isakowski again, your host of the Drawing from Experience podcast. This is episode number 75, a milestone, I would say. Sure, why not? Episode 75. It means something, doesn't it? 25 more episodes until episode number 100, which hopefully by then we'll be out of this crazy time. If you're listening in the future and you don't know what crazy time I'm referring to, right now we are stuck at home or secluded in our studios and during this coronavirus outbreak of 2020. So that's where we're at right now. And yeah, I feel like I'm going a little crazy. How about you guys? I'm holding it together as much as I can, but it's pretty crazy out there, and we're getting little bits of information here and there, and you don't know what's true and what's not. But hey, you know what? Today we are here to talk about art. Believe it or not. This is the Drawing from Experience podcast where we talk about art. And, this interview that I have today is with the amazing Sheri DeBow. She is a doll maker, sculptor. She makes dresses for her dolls and outfits. And she's quite amazing. So I love that quote at the beginning of the episode that I led with, and we had a lot of that kind of conversation within this conversation, and it was great, and I actually recorded that with her a while ago now. This was weeks and weeks ago, before all this crazy pandemic stuff started, and kind of kept this under our hats until it calmed down a little bit, which I feel like it's calmed down. It's not completely calmed down, but at least the initial panic has subsided slightly. So Sheri DeBow is amazing. This interview that I have with her, I really just feel like it's one of the strongest interviews that I've had so far. And she just has so many fun things to say. She's super awesome, super fun. She's a delight to be around. So I feel lucky to know Sheri, and I'm really, really happy that she was able to come to my studio and have this discussion. So before we get into that conversation, of course, I'm going to start with my shows coming up. The next one coming up is Communion at the Dark Art Emporium in Long Beach. I am working on my piece. It is getting sent out this upcoming week, and the virtual opening for it is May 9th, and you can log on to the website to see all of the work in the show. I believe they're doing like a virtual tour of the show, which is so cool. So, it's interesting what galleries are doing nowadays to stay engaged online and try to come up with cool different ways to market and things like that. The best way to become innovative at things is to be forced into a situation. Maybe not the best way, but one of the ways to become innovative is to be forced into a situation that you have no control over, and then you're forced to adapt. And these guys are adapting to their podcast, The Art Pit. That's the official Dark Art Emporium podcast with the Jeremys. I listened to the first episode, and it was so cool. It was really neat to hear some of the history of the Dark Art Emporium, which if you're not around the scene, you may or may not know. And I didn't know a lot of some of the history. So it was cool to hear them, and also just kind of like how they are with each other is pretty entertaining as well. So I look forward to seeing where the art pit goes. And another dark arts podcast, which is so cool. The more ears we have on the dark art world, the better. So good luck on your adventure there, guys, with the podcast. Um, yeah, so that's the main show I have coming up. They have another one called Tiny Terrors happening after that I'm a part of, but I will announce those dates when they come. So yeah, let's move on to Patreon, to my Patreon shout out. And I feel like I should make note of some changes Patreon had recently. They actually had to lay off 13% of their employees, which was, I think, 30 people. And there's a discussion on the Drawing from Experience creative community that my friend Andriana Rosnick had pointed out. She posted it onto the page. It was a story about that, and I read through the article, and it's unfortunate. They basically are saying that they had to do some layoffs because of some performance reviews and things like that, but business is booming for them. So it was a little confusing to me when I read it, where I was like, well, this is terrible timing to lay people off. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that they handle things in a respectable manner. So I'm still on board with the Patreon train. So here we go. Patreon. I have handpicked a Patreon that was just, I think, relaunched. It is my friend Sandra Hultsved. Sorry if I butchered that name. You guys listening should be used to me butchering names by now. I do my best. I try to sound them out. So there's a lot of consonants right in a row in this name. So you can find her on patreon.com/Sandra Hultsved. That's SandraHultsved. So Sandra is an artist born in 1989 in Sweden. She started to create her own art as a way to escape the dark reality, a world in decay of loneliness and melancholy. She creates mainly in oils, graphite pencils, and ink. She often portrays themes such as mental health, life, and death. Her art is a form of therapy. The artworks convey thoughts and subconscious feelings that she cannot express in any other way. After years of battling with her own thoughts and depression, she captures the tragedy and melancholy, but in a beautiful way. I have been introduced to her work for a while now. She also has work in the COVID Creative Convention, and I love it. It's beautiful work and black and white, and just like these stunning portraits and animals and things. So I'm a total fan. And she goes on to say that she's had exhibitions all over the world. She's been a member of the Art Monsters of Sweden collective, which sounds amazing. And she also co-founded Memento Tea Gallery in 2018. And at the same time, she took the leap to focus on art as her main occupation. And Sandra has 3 different tiers on her Patreon. There's the $1 tier, $4, and $8 per month. The supporter, admirer, and worshiper. And, at the $4 tier, you start getting high resolution content, desktop wallpapers, and also 20% off in her shop as soon as she starts hitting $15 a month, which totally makes sense. So the more people who sign up, the better, because then she'll start releasing some of these rewards. So $8 per month, you get all of the above, the high res, the thank you, and 20% off. And you get a postcard sent to you. You also get videos and occasional gifts, prints, art jewelry, and merch. So that's great. I mean, that is like keeping it simple. And good luck to you, Sandra, on your Patreon adventure here. So let's move on to our creative conquests. So this past week, there were so many creative conquests and some beautiful artwork and things, but I picked out 3 that kind of relate to things going on right now or shed a little positivity in our lives. So Marcos C. Dante says, working on a few commissions, one of which is the cover for a poetry book. My client was open to ideas, but was partial to a heart. I made 3 rough thumbnail sketches, all of which centered around a combination of a heart and vase. She chose one, and I chose another for myself, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Thank you to this group and a couple others for keeping the inspiration coming. Marcos, thank you for sharing that with us. That's great. I love when you have to do something anyway, and then it works out, and you can benefit from that as well. So that's great. Thank you so much for being a part of the community. Ben Moss says, started making smaller pieces with less expensive materials so I can sell some things at a price point people will buy. Mixed media on roofing paper. A fun combo. I don't know what roofing paper is, but very interesting. Yeah, I think for this one, I think it's important to note that like artists are trying to find, less expensive ways to keep down their costs, so then they can transfer that lesser of an expense off to their clients, to their customers. So I think that's a really good thing to make note of right now, and especially at a crazy time in history. So kudos to you. Also, Ben says he had posted a picture that he painted, and it said, made and sold this in the same day. So that's fantastic. I love to hear about more artwork that's being sold nowadays. So despite what people say, artwork is being sold. Benjamin On says, last week I shipped off a piece from my last show to Pennsylvania for a friend who paid me with their stimulus. How fantastic is that? People are using their stimulus check for artwork. For artwork. That could be you. You could be spending your stimulus check on artwork. So I think that's great. Benjamin, congratulations. Very cool. I want to remind you again, guys, the COVID Creative Convention is going on until May 13th, and you have until then to check it out, and then it's going away, and it's going away forever. So if you want to discover some artists, go check it out. If you want to buy some artwork, do that. Go there, buy the art, do the thing. Artists appreciate it, and we need to be here after all of this crazy stuff blows over, because we make the cool things. I don't know if you know that. Artists make the cool things, whether that's for your mental health, that's for your sanity, that's for your entertainment, whatever it is, chances are there is an artist or designer or maker or sculptor or somebody who did the thing that you're having keep you sane right now. So try to remember that. I should be saying this to the US government, because the arts and culture are the things that get cut first. I'm sure there's still people trying to figure out how to make fit football into their lives, or sports in some capacity, but I'll tell you what, the thing that people are enjoying right now are TV shows, movies, books, artwork, all different kinds of things, and performance. There's a lot of like video performance going on right now. So all the creative things are the things that people are enjoying during a crisis. Imagine that. A world of creative things at our fingertips, and we can enjoy them. Geez, what a place. That's the positive side of life right now, is that we get to enjoy everything that people are putting out. So amazing. So yeah, without further ado, guys, I'm going to reintroduce the amazing Sheri DeBow. I met Sheri at one of her solo openings at Modern Eden, and she was right away super welcoming, and she was super sweet, and she's a part of my Drawing from Experience creative community as well. And I just feel lucky that I get to have these kinds of conversations, and this interview / conversation in general. I asked a lot about her background and everything, but she has a lot of like really amazing insight for artists who are just starting out, some pitfalls that brand new artists in the gallery world kind of fall into, or the doll making world. So if you have an interest in learning things, this is a great episode to listen to. I don't know about you, but I like to learn things, and I like to learn things from people who have the experience and the know-how and the confidence to tell you, hey, this is what I've learned through my experiences. So thank you guys so much for listening. This is my amazing interview with the fantastic, incredible Sheri DeBow.